you want to be loved by the people around you? Would you want to be loved because of your positive traits? Or would you want to be loved just the way you are? Now, what is its connection to formalist literary approach? If you want to find out, just keep on watching. Good day everyone, my name is Teacher Aizie and I'm here to help you in this learning journey. Are you familiar with the song Just As I Am by Air Supply? In one of its lines it says, "Love me baby just as I am." In other words, love and accept the person as who or she is. The literary approach that we will talk about in this video sends the same message: to see and analyze a literary text just as it is. And that is the formalist literary approach. So, let's get started. So what is a formalist literary approach?
It refers to a critical approach that analyzes, interprets, or evaluates the inherent features of a text. These features include not only grammar and syntax, but also literary devices such as figures of speech and meter. The formalist literary approach reduces the importance of texts' historical, biographical, and cultural context.
In other words, formalist literary approach is concerned only with the form and sets aside all other aspects such as cultural, biographical, and historical aspect. Now let's talk about a bit of its history and proponents.
Formalist literary approach began in Russia in 1916 by two groups, Moscow Linguistic Society led by Roman Jakobson and Prague Linguistic Circle led by Viktor Shklovsky. Formalists placed an emphasis on the medium by analyzing the way in which literature, especially poetry, was able to alter artistically or make strange common language so that everyday word could be defamiliarized.
For example, you want to tell your friend she is beautiful. Instead of you saying you are beautiful, you say you are like a flower. That is what defamiliarizing is all about. You try to understand metaphors, simile, and all that, and try to understand the text without taking into consideration outside influences. You are fixed on the text alone. What are the strengths and weaknesses of a formalist literary approach?
Strengths. Criticism is done without research. Emphasizes the value of literature apart from its context. Makes literature timeless. Weaknesses. Text is viewed in isolation. Formalism ignores the context of the work. Reduces literature to nothing more than a collection of rhetorical devices.
Since the formalist literary approach is applicable to poetry, it is also necessary that we study the elements of poetry.
Lines. The group of words arranged into a row that ends for a reason. Stanzas. The series of lines grouped together and separated by empty lines from other stanzas. Form. The overall structure of a poem. There are three general types of poem. Lyric poetry expresses thoughts and feelings. Narrative poetry tells a story. Descriptive poetry describes the world, a person, or an object. Rhyme. The repetition of similar sounds at the end of each line. Rhythm. The recurrence of stressed and unstressed sound in poem. Meter. The unit of rhythm or the pattern of beats. Persona. Refers to the person speaking in the poem. Addressee. Refers to whom the poem is dedicated. Sound devices. Used to stress sounds and create musical and dramatic effect in the poem. Here are the sound devices that a poet may use. Alliteration, the repetition of initial consonant sounds in two or more words. Assonance, the repetition of vowel sounds in two or more words. Consonance, the repetition of consonant sounds in two or more words. Onomatopoeia, the words that imitate natural sounds of things.
Aside from poems, formalist literary approach is also applicable to short story. So here are the elements of a short story.
Setting, the time and place of the story. Characters, the people or inanimate beings that carry the action of the story. Plot, the series of events of the story. The plot is divided into the following. Exposition, establishes the setting, conflict, and overall introduction of the text. Rising action, the events of the story begin to create suspense as the characters faces conflicts. Climax, central turning point of the story which carries the highest amount of suspense. Falling action, the section in which the tension decreases and the story moves toward its conclusion. Denouement, the final part of the story. Other elements are conflict, the struggle between two opposing forces and provides tension in the story. Theme, the message the writer is trying to convey through the story. Point of view, the perspective from which a story is told. Tone, the way the author expresses his attitude through his writing. Mood, the emotional atmosphere within the story produced by the author's use of language. Style, technique of the author in writing. Here are the literary devices. Simile, a figure of speech in which two dissimilar objects are compared and the comparison is made clear by the use of terms like such as and like. Metaphor, a figure of speech where comparison of two different things is implied but not clearly stated. Hyperbole, the use of exaggeration as a rhetorical device. Personification, a figure of speech in which an idea or thing is given human attributes and or feelings. Imagery, the use of figurative language to evoke sensory experience or create a mental picture for the readers. Symbolism, uses symbols such as words, people, marks, location, or abstract ideas to represent something beyond literal meaning. Allusion, a brief or indirect reference to a person, place, thing, or idea of historical, cultural, literary, or political significance. Irony, the use of words to express something other than and specially opposite of the literal meaning. Foreshadowing is used to hint events yet to come and to keep the readers guessing. Now let's see how we can apply structuralism in Shakespeare's Seven Ages of Men, an excerpt from the play As You Like It. The Seven Ages of Men. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face creeping like a snail unwillingly to school, and then the lover, sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly, with good capon lined, with eye severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise sauce and modern instances. So he plays his part. The sixth age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful host well saved, a world too wide, for his shrunk shank and his big manly voice, turning again toward childish trouble, pipes and whistle in his sound. Last scene of all, that ends his strange eventful history, is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. Shakespeare's Seven Ages of Man is an analogy of the different phases of life that a man goes through during a lifetime. The use of imagery, metaphor, and simile are the strongest figures of speech used to drive home the message of the passage. He starts out with describing the common actions and conditions in which we all find ourselves as a baby who is dependent on a mother figure. Then he moves on to describe what each stage thereafter looks and acts like in its own time, thereby making its way to the end of a person's life. Here are the poetic devices in Seven Ages of Man. Metaphor. All the world's a stage, and all men and women are merely players. Simile. Sighing like furnace, creeping like a snail. Alliteration. Shrunk shank plays his part. Personification. Seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. The cannon is an object, so obviously cannot have a mouth.
There you go, the formalist literary approach. In my succeeding videos, I will also talk about the other literary approaches as well. Always remember the words of Socrates, the life which is unexamined is not worth living. So I hope you learned something from our discussion today. I hope to see you again in our next video lesson. To get notified of the new video lessons, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell. Bye everyone! Thanks for watching!